What is it that makes a person important? Are there people that we just don't need around? What do you think it is that makes somebody valuable?
Their heart.
What about their heart? Why?
Well, the heart is where the great moments happen, where all your talents are. God, and also God is in you, so in your heart, so that's the most important thing about you.
You know, it's really kind of a startling thing to ask the question, is there certain people that we just don't need around? When we sit and think about what actually makes a person important and we start to answer that question, it can put us in a position of really disturbing arrogance and ignorance. I've seen people do this in sort of scientific circles or even medical circles where people feel like they've had enough education to determine, oh, this person's important or this person's, life is not as important. And it's really uncomfortable because what if it's us on the other side of that conversation? What if it's somebody we love? And the reason why I bring this up is because in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 22, Paul is saying that the parts of this group of people, the certain people in this group that seem like they're not as important, he says those people are actually indispensable. Those people that seem like they're the weakest part are actually indispensable. He's comparing these different types of personalities and different gifts that exist within the people. He's comparing them to parts of the body of Christ. And he needs every part, and every part functions, and you can't say to one, I don't need you, I don't need you. So what it comes down to is Paul says the ones that they think are the weakest are actually indispensable. They're required and needed for everything to function. And I don't think we get this very well in our society. I think we miss this, and I think we're missing a lot because of it. So when I sat down with my friend Brian and we talked about his relationship with his daughter, this is a really intriguing story because Brian was this famous rock star. He had lots of money, he had everybody chanting for him and cheering for him, and he seemed like one of the important people, one of those ones that was really strong and powerful, and then he had this little girl, his daughter, and in a normal environment for her, being in the midst of all the chaos, he recognized this is not a place for a child. So he had to figure out what to do as this important person who had this seemingly weak daughter, needy daughter, who what is he going to do? And as the world looks on, the story unfolds in such an intriguing way, and it really does highlight what Paul's trying to say here about how important even the weakest parts of our society really are.
Hello, Lacey.
How you doing? Yeah, I read your book, obviously. And
I read yours too.
Thank you for doing that. And honestly, I cried a lot in your book. I'm going to cry talking about it. I'm very weepy today. It's a very emotional day. But the thing is that, when I was growing up, I thought that kids were a burden to their parents, and that, kids kind of get them out of their way. And, when you go around in public and you see somebody sees your kids, like I have two boys, and when somebody sees my kids, they say, oh, you got your hands full.
Yeah.
Or when you see someone else who has kids and they're like, you want to take them? You want to take them home with you?
Yeah.
They're driving me crazy, And it's just, playful, but the impression you get is, oh, it's going to be a big deal, and they're going to be in your way, and all the sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting about your story is that, you know, you realized that you needed to be there for your daughter.
Yeah.
And you left your band to go and be a dad. And, you know, the main theme I understand about kids that feel abandoned by their parents is that the dad's the one who's usually not around. So, and for me, I don't know what it's like to have, you know, to snuggle with your dad and all that stuff, just have that affection for your father. And so when I read your book, I cried a lot because I could just sense your love for your daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, I always felt like, I always loved her, obviously, but it's like before I just got my life right, I was just like, it was all about me. And I was juggling, and I was like, and whenever I think about her, especially when her mom left the family, it was like this tug of war. It was like rock star dad, and I just couldn't find the, I don't know, I just couldn't, it was a hard time juggling. So when I was able to quit the band and just focus my attention on her, it was awesome. But I did make a lot of mistakes, as you read in the book.
Yeah,
I was
there's
like,
a lot about that.
Yeah.
Being honest.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like I chose the right thing for my daughter, and my heart was there, and I wanted to do the best for her, but my own character flaws and stuff just got in the way, and sometimes, you know, and so people say I'm too hard on myself because, like, my biggest mistakes I feel like I made with her, but I did give my career to raise her after, you know, she was 6. So
Sometimes we believe this lie about ourselves, that we're the ones that are dispensable, that we're the ones that aren't important. This is such a sad place to be because it shows that we don't recognize and understand our own value. And this is why it's so important what Paul is saying here. He's saying that, again, the most dispensable looking parts, the weakest looking parts of a group are actually indispensable and so important. And when we recognize our own value, then we're able to recognize the value in all those around us even more as well. And this is what he's writing to the Corinthian church. He's saying that those parts that seem the most feeble and unnecessary are actually some of the most important parts. But sometimes, even though God has given us millions of reasons to know that he loves each one of us and has a great plan for each one of us, sometimes we won't believe it.
And I remember that moment in your book when you're having all these issues. I'm gonna cry. I don't know why.
that's okay.
Oh my God. You're having all these issues and you see her her scars, and you see her, you know, her struggling, and you understand at one point that she feels alone, that she feels like you don't love her.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just floored. Like, what do you mean? Like, my life is wrapped around you. You know, like, I think about you all the time. Like, you're you know, obviously when you read the book, you see you didn't do everything perfect, but at the same time, you have it in the front of your mind that you're a father and that you have a daughter, and she's never outside of your decision making or any of that, you know. And so you're just like, what do you mean, you know? And I'm weeping, you know, at this part because the struggle that you have to connect with her when she feels far away and you're not sure how, you know, you just, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I was like, when I heard that, I was just like, you see, the last 8 years, it's all been, you know, about you. Obviously, I was doing other things, music and like that, but I just couldn't understand that. I think it came from I always struggled with anger, you know, and I'm doing better with that more than ever, but I think that it was part of my anger, because she was seeing me blow up once in a while and then apologize to her. But to her, a real apology would mean you don't do it again. But I kept doing it again. So it was part that, and it was part she was 14 going through a lot of stuff, and a lot of things that she had in her heart were come to the surface. So, but yeah, she knows now. That's the good thing. Now she's like, my dad's awesome, and he did the best he could, and she knows how much I love her now.
Hi, Granny.
Hiya, Lacey.
I just wanted to just ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Okay.
I just hope I can answer.
Okay. The first question is, what do you think it is that makes a person important?
What makes a person important? Well, I think a person that's honest, most of all, to be honest.
Do you think that's an important quality for a person? An important quality for a person is honesty?
Yeah, my dad always said to be honest. And that always stayed with me.
What I take away from recognizing what Paul is trying to say is that each one of us should know how important the person beside us is and how important we are. We are important to God's purpose in the earth. We're important to God's message that He wants to give to the world around us. Each as unique individuals, it's so important that we shine our light that God's put in us into the world around us. Because if we do, then there will be a new dimension to God's love that the world gets to see, a new dimension to His creativity and wisdom. Each one around us reflects something about God to the world around us. So I think that once we can grasp that and really see it, then we can find it in others. We can infuse it into others. We can encourage one another and even find confidence in who God's made us to be. That's what I pray. I pray that each one of us would see the value of the one beside us, each one that we come in contact with, made in God's image for His purpose with great plans for them. And we would see the value in our own lives, knowing that He loves us so much. So once we choose to believe what God actually said about us, even in the scripture, that each one of us has value, especially when we feel like we're the weakest, or even when we look at somebody and we think they look like that we would never be connected to, we don't understand how we would ever feel connection to somebody, that person as well has value to God and says something about who God is. And if once we grasp that, His love, then we can begin to reflect His love back into the world around us.